Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Robinson, and you're listening to the best of The Robinson Show. Enjoy.
The Mr. America competition actually means a lot. This is, like I said, one of the biggest competitions that's held. It's one of the oldest competitions that's been going on, and it's just an honor for me to be here.
Our first place winner of pro bodybuilding and the newly crowned Mr. America 2021 P211 CoreyBrown.
Honestly, I did not. Like I said, all the competitors, they looked great. Everyone, bought their best. And just to be standing here today with being Mr. America, it's an amazing feeling, man. It's great. It's wonderful.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the program. That audio was courtesy of CBS Sports Network and Mr. America, the official Mr. America YouTube channel, and that was the winner of the 2021 Mr. America Natural Bodybuilding Contest, and that was CoreyBrown, and just showing his excitement for winning that contest. And, we have him on the program, and we're going to have him to talk more about his training, also being involved in the contest, and amongst other things. And let's welcome him to the program. He's a personal trainer that's the owner of his own gym called Get a Grip Fitness, and he's also a natural bodybuilder. Let's welcome him to the program, CoreyBrown. Hey, Corey, welcome to the program, my man.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm doing well, sir. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. So before we get into your personal training and competing and things of that nature, every story has a beginning. What was your upbringing like growing up?
Oh, man. It was a pretty tough one for me. I started working out when I was 15. I just found something that took my mind off of a lot, that I've been going through, ever since a young age. Didn't grow up with my mom, didn't grow up with my dad. So finding that out, in the gym, that pretty much gave me, confidence in myself and confidence that, I'm able to do anything that I put my mind to and set my mind to. So, and I ran with it. I took hold of it and I ran with it. And as you heard, I became the new Mr. America in 2021. And I feel like, I'm still overwhelmed by it, still shocked by it. So it was a pretty exciting moment for me at that time of my life.
Indeed it was. And again, congratulations on that honor. And we'll get more into that in just a little bit. But I want to get back to your upbringing just for a moment, if you don't mind. You said you into the gym when you started working out at the age of 15, and 15. You said that you were looking for an outlet. But before you found the gym, did you grow up playing sports in your youth, whether it be basketball, football, or were you socially active around that time before you found the gym?
I did. I grew up playing basketball, playing football, in the neighborhood, with all my friends in the neighborhood and everything. So, we always had play pickup games at the park. We would play basketball at one of my friend's house in his backyard. So, I was always pretty active as a kid growing up, so, and being active as I was, that started. But to be honest, the first time I started working out was, it was in, like I said, high school, 15. I started doing push-ups and sit-ups. I used to do push-ups and sit-ups every single night. I did 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups every single night. And then, when I first got into the weight room, I saw I was a freshman at the time, You know, and I saw all the upperclassmen, you know, they in the gym lifting, you know, these big weights, 45s on each side. And I was like, oh, man, I want to try that. I want to try that, see if I can do that. You know, so I got it on the bar, and I barely got it up. And I was like, oh, no. And then from that moment on, that's what drove me, and that's what gave me that hunger, that drive to want to be better. So I started playing, you know, football, and I lived in the gym pretty much, actually. You know, that was, like I said again, that was my outlet, and the rest is history.
Absolutely, indeed, the rest is history. And when you started, you know, dedicating yourself to the gym at the age of 15, what was the moment that hit you when you were lifting weights and you looked at yourself and you were like, you know what, I can take this to the next level and compete? Did it happen in high school, or did it happen a little bit later down the line?
Oh, it happened a little bit later down the line. Because when I was in high school, you know, I was, you know, as a kid, you know, you started working out and you start seeing your body change. You know, you start seeing you building a little bit of muscle, and, you know, gave you a little bit more confidence in yourself. So as I started doing that, started working, started training. I also ran track in high school. Got a scholarship to play football at the University of New Mexico. I went to University of New Mexico. Funny story, the first day I stepped into the gym facility at the University of New Mexico, my head coach, you know, he was coming around congratulating everybody, all the freshmen that just came in. You know, and we were in there working out, and he was congratulating me. He was going down the line telling everybody, hey, you're going to be such and such when you grow up. You're going to be such and such when you grow up. You know, he got to me, and he looked at me, and he was like, you're going to be a bodybuilder when you grow up. Honestly, Ed, I looked at him and I laughed. I was like, man, you're kidding. Get out of here, man. I'm not going to be no bodybuilder. I'm about to, you know, be NFL, play some football. And, you know, as I continue to train and work out, you know, body start changing, start seeing results. And then that's when I really dove in and I got serious about working out. I got my certification, my personal trainer certification in 2006. I trained for a few years, and, you know, after that, I've always, you know, it's funny. I look back now and you know, I used to see, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these other guys, you know, bodybuilding, showing their muscles and all that other stuff. And I was like, man, maybe I can. You know, I probably can be a bodybuilder one day. I'd like to try that. So to fast forward, 2017, the gym that I'm at now, the Yard Fitness, the owner, Julian Brown. We're not brothers, by the way. We're just really close buddies. He looked at me. He's like, dude, do you compete? I was like, no, man, I don't compete. But I've been looking around, you know, trying to find somebody or, you know, just a way that I would be able to start competing and get into bodybuilding. So he looked at me and he was like, okay, well, now you do compete. You know, we're gonna find you a show. We're gonna pick a date, and then we're gonna work towards that date and get you ready for that show. And I was like, okay, let's do it. You know, he helped me. He's the one that helped me with my posing. You know, he took me by the hand and guided me through my posing routines and everything that I had to know and had to learn. And I did my first competition, 2017, with the OCB. And I won my first competition in 2017. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be doing this for a while. You know, and here I am today.
Well, definitely, and you definitely continuing to do your thing. And, of course, it began with the coach, your football coach in college, and saying that he saw something in you and said that you were going to be a bodybuilder. And then we fast forward, and the gentleman by the name of Junior, he looked at you and said, you look like a competitor. Yep, and sure enough, he helped you to guide you through your first contest. So definitely the both of those gentlemen saw something in you, and as they say, the rest is history. Yeah. And so you go from just high school at 15, working out, using it as an outlet, and then after that, you continue to work out, playing college football, and then later the gentleman by the name of Junior helped you to get ready for your first contest, and so you have a career. And so I want to ask you, how often do you train, and how many hours and days a week?
Man, honestly, I train 7 days a week. Like, no joke. 7 days a week, at least hour, 2 hours in the gym. You know, there's times where I have to make myself leave the gym. I have to stop the workout and make myself leave the gym. You know, I know a lot of people probably sitting listening and say, "Oh man, that's too much. You're overtraining. You're doing this and you're doing that." But for me, I didn't feel like I was overtraining. You know, so I was just gonna say, you know, that outlet for me, that gym. You know, like I said, when I was 15, that outlet for me became a passion of mine, and that passion of mine just carried.
I want to just kind of get back to, you mentioned your first contest was in 2017. Mm-hmm. Do you remember it, and what place did you finish in?
Oh, I remember it very well. I won. I got first place.
Okay.
I remember it was August 20th, 2017. August 20th, 2017.
Awesome. Do you remember the name of the competition?
Yeah, it was the OCB. I trained with it was the OCB Federation. It was with the OCB organization that I did my first competition with.
I want to stay just with the first competition that you entered in and you won that. Do you remember being nervous, or were you excited? You getting on stage for the first time and doing your thing?
Oh man, I was nervous. I was excited. I was nervous. I was scared. I was sweaty palms. I was shaking. You know, because it was something different. You know, something different for me. It was out of my comfort zone. You know, and many times you hear people say that the only way that you grow and succeed is, you know, you got to step out your comfort zone. And for me, that's what I did. You know, I just, you know, set my mind. I was like, you know what? I'm here now. There's no turning back. You know, so let's do it. So before I even stepped on that stage, man, I was so nervous. You probably could have heard my heartbeat if you were standing next to me. That's how nervous I was. But you know, as I went out there, you know, I just remembered everything that me and Julian worked on. We practiced just every day straight for an hour at least. Every single day, every turn, every routine, everything. So in my mind, as I stepped on stage, I just replayed everything in my mind that we went through. And when other people saw me on stage for the first time, they was like, "This is not his first time." They was saying that to Julian. He told me that after the show. He's like, "Man, people think that that's not your first competition." And he told him, he's like, "Yes, it is." You know, so it's just, but I was nervous. I may not look nervous on stage, but I was nervous. I was very nervous.
Well, I tell you one thing, sometimes, you know, you have to be nervous. I mean, whenever it's your first time doing anything, but definitely it paid off at the end and you were able to win, place first place and win that competition that you did in your first competition. And I want to just get back to, we talked about how often you train and how many hours and days a week. You said that it would take the act of Congress to get you out of the gym because some people say that, you're overtraining. But I wanted to ask you, have you had any injuries from overtraining?
The only injury I've had is my shoulder. And it was probably a few years ago. Yeah, a few years back. I injured my shoulder. I injured my my infraspinatus. I had some inflammation in there. It was bruised, and that was the worst pain. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. That was the worst pain ever that I've ever felt. I couldn't do any pushes, really overhead presses. I couldn't do any pulls. But I rehabbed, and now everything seems to be okay. But that is the only injury that I've ever had ever since I've been training, ever since I've been working out. I never tore anything, knock on wood. So, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how long were you out with this injury?
A couple months. I had to take a rest. I really had to rest my shoulder. It was hard, because I felt like I was gonna lose, what I gained and what I worked so hard for. But in all naturality, I really didn't lose anything. It's just us as fitness enthusiasts, as fitness people, as much as we've worked so hard to grind, it's just something in our mind that just is telling us that we're gonna, oh man, you need to get back in the gym. Or I'm just telling myself, man, I need to get back in the gym. I can't take a rest. I can't, but I had to listen to my body. And the sooner I listened and, took control of me, of my body, I rested my shoulder, and now it's all healed and everything is good now. It's just amazing, at what the body can do, and us, the more that we take control and listen to our body, because your body will never steer you wrong. Just listen to your body. I tell my clients that all the time, just listen to your body. Your body will let you know. It gives you warning signs before the actual injury or whatever the case may be that you're going through happens. So if you listen to your body and you take a hold before it gets to a certain point, then you'll be fine. But as us, we sometimes we're just hard-headed, stubborn. That we have to keep pushing. But I took the lesson, listened to my body, and I rested my shoulder, and now it's pretty good. It's healed, and now I'm all good now.
Well, good to hear. I'm glad you're all good now. That way you were able to get back on track and then resume your career. And while we're staying with training just for a moment, I want to ask you, what are your favorite body parts to train, and what are your least favorite body parts to train?
My favorite body parts is my legs. I train legs 3 times a week. I hit different exercises. I hit them at different angles. That's my most will be, I would say, my favorite body part to train is my legs. My least, I don't know if I have a least, but I'll just put it in this order: legs, back, shoulders, and chest.
I want to move along now because we touched on the training portion of things, but now one thing that's a part of what you do in your career is the nutrition. What does your diet consist of?
Oh, definitely. You have to eat. You have to make sure that you get the right amount of calories in So especially for the type of sport that I do. My diet is, during the season, it's very, very, very strict diet that I'm on during the season. No fatty foods, no heavily sugary foods. I'm just strictly clean eating during my season when I'm training. Off season, I get to indulge a little bit, but not overindulge. Just the things that I've been craving, during the season that I wasn't able to eat. But I still keep it clean. The more clean you eat, the better results that you produce. What I do, a lot of chicken breast, a lot of ground turkey, ground chicken, vegetables, a lot of green vegetables, carbs. A lot of people think that carbs is your enemy. Good carbs is not your enemy. It's actually your friend. That's what muscle building gives you energy, builds your strength, that you're able to work out for a longer period of time. So.
Well, you mentioned some of the things that you eat when preparing for a competition, but everybody has their cheat meals, and you said that from, when you're not competing, you indulge, but you don't overindulge. But what are your favorite cheat meals?
Oh, my favorite cheat meals. Chicken wings. I love chicken wings. Lemon pepper chicken wings. That's my, yes.
I tell you one thing, you can't go wrong with some lemon pepper chicken wings. I tell you that. What else did you hear to say?
You sure can. And I like a good a lemon pound cake. It's just something about the lemon. It's just so refreshing, and then the pound cake is just so moist, and it's, oh man, yeah. So those two things, my lemon pound cake and my chicken wings, yeah. I'm not too much of a candy, cake person, so, but give me a nice slice of lemon pound cake with some chicken wings, and I'm good.
Hey, that's another thing. You can't go wrong with the lemon pound cake, man. That's always a home run as well. Hey, to add to going with the lemon pepper chicken wings, most definitely. And, we've touched on the training and the nutrition, and also another part of the things that you do well is vitamins and supplements. We know that vitamins and supplements are definitely important as far as recovery and making sure you stay on track of the nutritional value. So what vitamins and supplements do you take to keep yourself going, and what you do when you're getting ready for training, or just whether it be during training or away from training?
Honestly, the supplements that I take, multivitamin, it's a must. Take my multivitamins on a daily. Vitamin C, vitamin B complex. I do my BCAAs, my EEAs, protein, and I'll do a pre-workout. That's my.
So I see you're not too. You kind of rely. You don't rely too much on you rely on vitamins and supplements, but you primarily rely on just good training and having the nutrition down pat, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, I got to ask you about the Mr. America competition that you won in 2021. How did you stumble upon that? Was that something that you wanted to get into, or was this kind of like a dare from a client or a colleague? How did the whole Mr. America thing come about?
Honestly, as I was doing competitions, I just started looking at other federations and other, competitions that they're having throughout the year. And I looked up the Mr. America competition. I stumbled upon it, and I was like, oh, man, what is this? Mr. America? And then I did my research, looked up on it, and I saw it. I was like, oh, man, you know what? I'm going to do that one day. And before the coronavirus locked down everything, I was going to compete in the Mr. America 2020. Yeah, I was going to compete 2020. But then, everything got locked down, got shut down, and had to put that on hold. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to compete for that show 2021. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just saw it, and from that point on, I started my training for that particular show. So I trained, and I registered for the show. I bought my ticket for the show. I paid my room for the show, and that was it. I was like, well, my money is done. My money is up for the show. I paid. I'm not going to lose out on money that I paid, that I work hard for and I paid for. So I had no choice now to make sure that I was ready for that competition. Again, I had no idea, what to expect, and yeah, when I got there, it was probably nerve-wracking. Again, I was very nervous. Again, I was super nervous. Didn't know what I was getting into. Didn't know what to expect. I know it was the top of the top. It was, one of the most prestigious shows that I've ever done, and to win that show that year was by far one of the most amazing feelings ever. And I still look back, and I'm still amazed by how I did and my results.
Wow, congratulations on that honor. And I want to stay just with the Mr. America competition. Yep. You mentioned about just feeling nerves and your palms sweating and things of that nature. What was the crowd like for that event? Was it a decent crowd, or was it a lot of people there? What was the atmosphere like?
It was a lot of people, a lot of competitors, a lot of great competitors. The crowd were amazing. They applauded, they cheered, it was an amazing feeling, man. Let's see, how can I put this? It was probably one of the best feeling that I've ever had, man. Everybody was so welcoming. People were so humble, and just the camaraderie there was just amazing. Nobody was seemed to be having an ego. Everybody put their ego aside for that day. But it was, I didn't feel like I didn't feel no kind of bad vibes or anything like that. So everybody was just it was just welcoming. Like an open arm. We just welcoming with open arms, man. It was,
Good deal. I want to stay just with the whole atmosphere of that competition. You mentioned that you paid to get to the venue. You also paid for the hotel, and you definitely, as you said, you wanted to make the most out of that experience because you were fitting the bill for everything. And the competition was in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So aside from competing, did you get an opportunity to see Atlantic City and try to get the most out of your experience?
Oh yeah, I got a chance to see the city a little bit. It was a great city. Just everything around there was the venue that they had us at. It was pretty amazing. Got to walk on the boardwalk. Restaurants there. They also had the strongman competitions there that we could that we was able to watch while we were there. Being right there on the ocean and just getting that ocean breeze. Because I'm from California, so and I live in Arizona, so just seeing being able to be around ocean, getting that ocean breeze, and just that was my first time ever being on the East Coast, so it was amazing. After the competition, I took a trip to New York, and just went to sightsee New York, and it was, to me, it was an amazing trip that I'll always remember.
Oh man, that's awesome! I'm glad. Not only did you walk away with the victory, but you had the chance to experience Atlantic City, New Jersey, and to go to the Big Apple. Man, that's a lot of fun. I mean, what an action-packed weekend that you had, man. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad you made the most out of that. And making the most out of something, natural bodybuilding, you definitely have to make the most out of what you have when you're doing natural bodybuilding, because again, it's basically you have to spend hours upon hours in the gym. As you mentioned earlier, it would take an act of Congress to get you out of the gym. So I wanted to ask you first, can you give me and the listeners out there the pros or the positives of being a natural bodybuilder?
You can do it for a very, very long time. You stay healthy. You're not subject to be easily injured. It's sad to say, but people, to each his own, right? If your thing is, crossing that line, to maybe you feel that you need to grow a little bit more and be natural, it's taking too long, or you're not seeing the results that you want, and and you need that quick result, then hey, that's your thing. For me, no, I want to be able to do this for a long time. I want to be able to live. I have a 3-year-old daughter, so I want to be able to live to see my baby grow up and be there, for her. Crossing over that line, that's a fine line that you're playing with. You're playing with your health. You're playing with your life, at that point. So if you can do it natural, do it natural. I promise you, it will be such an amazing feeling knowing that you did that work. You put that work in. You grind day in and day out, whether it's morning, noon, night, whatever the case may be. You did the work. You didn't put nothing in your body to help you, to give you an extra boost. The only thing that you may use to give you an extra boost is pre-workout. Protein shake, okay. Some BCAAs, some EEAs, okay. Multivitamins, that's fine. But putting other things in your body that you have no idea what you're putting in your body. And then at the end of the day, something happens, you're in the hospital, and then before you know it, you're either deceased or you're messed up for the rest of your life. Kidney failure, liver failure, heart attack, stroke, at a young age. I'm 42. I'm not trying to have any of that right now. So I want to make sure that I do it right and I do it naturally. And like I said, I want to be able to do this for as long as I can, whether it be 60, 70, however old I be. I want to be able to step on stage at 60, at 70, looking my best, looking good. So if you want to do bodybuilding, for anybody out there that's listening, if you want to do bodybuilding, please just do your research on whatever it is that you decide that you think that you may need. Do your research and do it naturally. It's more of an amazing feeling when you do it naturally.
And you touched on some great points about wanting to be here for the long term, because you have a daughter, and of course you want to compete as long as you can. And I think a lot of people always want to do it. People want to skip steps, but you can't skip a step. And you can do it the other way, but as you mentioned, you develop health problems at a very young age, man, and you just you want to definitely avoid that. And I commend you for doing that, and most importantly, answering that question. Now, I want to ask you about what are the cons or the negatives of natural bodybuilding?
Oh, people look at you, and especially if you look a certain way, people will put that stigma on you. Oh yeah, he does steroids. Oh yeah, he does PEDs. That's not natural. That's probably the only con that I may come across. But other than that, that's it to me. That has been said to me, but there's no other. There's no other feeling. There's no other greater feeling than knowing, in your heart that you didn't do anything to cheat. So again, I'm not, like I said, to each their own. I'm not bashing anybody that does it. If you do it, please just be safe at doing it. But the only con that I may hear about, natural bodybuilders is, oh yeah, and if they look a certain way, or if they develop their body in a certain way, they're like, oh yeah, he's on steroids. Don't let him tell you that he's not taking anything. Oh, he's taking something. But other than that, that's it.
Most definitely. And, while we're just staying with natural bodybuilders for a moment, have you ever felt the temptation or the pressure to maybe say, you know what, I'm not getting to the next level, or nothing's moving as quickly as I would like? Have you ever felt the temptation or even that pressure to, like, you know what, maybe I need to try to maybe get juiced up or get on the gear or whatever in order to take that next step? Or have you always been comfortable being at the level that you compete at?
Don't get me wrong, us as bodybuilders, we look at ourselves and we think that we haven't grown, or there's always body parts that you may look at yourself and be like, oh man, I need to bring this body part up. I need to bring that body part up. I need to do this to get this body part up. But no, I've never said, oh, well, let me take XYZ to bring that body part. I was like, no, let me go back to the drawing board, change up my routine more, whatever I need to do, eat more, do an extra set, do an extra rep, whatever the case may be. That's where my head goes. My head don't go straight to wanting to take PEDs or wanting to do something else to help me. No, what I want to do to help me is, okay, let's do an extra set. See, let's do an extra rep. It's not going to hurt to do an extra set, to do an extra rep. So that's my take on it, and I will always be that way. Whether it be, oh man, I'm not eating enough. All right, well, I gotta up my calories a little bit more. I gotta do this a little more. Oh man, let me add a little bit. Let me add, another. I did 205 on bench. Let me add a half a pound or another 5 pounds. What do I do? 1 rep, 2 rep, 3 reps? I still did better than I did last week. So it's just the consistency. Be consistent with it. The more consistent you are, you're going to see the results. You may not see it right away. The other people will see it before you do because you look at yourself every day. You see yourself every day. You're looking at yourself every day and you be like, oh, man, my leg's not, I got skinny leg. My leg needs to get a little bit. Okay, let's get back in the gym, let's see what we need to do. Hit it at different angles. Hit different exercises. So it's never let me take this pill or take this injection or do whatever the case may be to get what I want. Nah. Let me grind. Let me do the work. Let me do the work.
Yep, it's all about the grind. It's all about the hard work, and you definitely have to, as you said, you just have to be consistent. And when you have that consistency, you're definitely going to see the results. And again, I commend you on that and just staying true to the game when it comes to what you do in your career in regards to, in reference to natural bodybuilding. And you mentioned earlier about being a licensed personal trainer. How did you become licensed, and what organization are you a part of?
The IFSA. You have to study. You have to study for the test, and then at the end of you have to study, and then at the end of your study, you take the final, and they send you the certificate, or they give you your certificate, and that's what I did. I studied, made sure I learned, everything about about the body part, the nutrition, everything that you need to know. It's in the book, it's in the handbook that they send you, and you take the test, study, you take the test, and you become a licensed personal trainer.
Also, you mentioned that you're licensed through the ISSA. What is that acronym does it stand for?
International Sports Science Association.
Good deal. And I know there's a lot of organizations out there that help people become licensed personal trainers, but in your opinion, what makes ISSA stand out from the rest of the pack?
Well, you're able to go at your own pace. It's not that's rushed. It's very, very informative. You're able to do it. Whether if you're in school, if you have a job, it's not anything that you have to be quick to rush to get it done. You go at your own pace, and as soon as you're able or you feel that you're ready, to take your final, then you take the final, and the rest is the rest is history. So I wouldn't. A lot of people that does different organizations, they may feel that their organization is the best, or their organization is better than, or it's worth it. It's whatever you decide to do, whatever organization you see that fits your time and fits your schedule. The knowledge that you attain is the same knowledge that you would attain, let's say, if you do the NASM. I'll never downplay, another organization's theory or how they do things. That's just what, I saw fit for my schedule and fit for me. So I decided to go with ISSA, and I became a licensed personal trainer with them.
Awesome, and congratulations again on that. And let's talk now about your personal training business that you have, Get a Grip Fitness. Just tell everybody about it and the services it provides and where it's located.
Get a Grip Fitness. I provide, personal training one-on-one. I do competition preps for clients also. It's located in Phoenix, Arizona. You can look me up on Instagram, Facebook, Get a Grip Fitness, at Get a Grip Fitness. And I have a website, www.getagripfitness.com. You can look me up there on my website also. It has all my information, phone numbers, what I do, one-on-one training, if you're looking for one-on-one training, if you're looking for private training, if you're looking for group training, I do that also. So yeah.
Awesome. Good to hear. And, let's just kind of stay this kind of like with personal training and specifically with nutrition. I know food deserts have become, a problem for quite some time. And I know you mentioned about with your personal training business, whenever you have with your clients, do you ever, I guess what I should say is, do you ever get into any issues maybe in terms of certain clients, they may live in food deserts where there's like little to no access to good quality fruits and vegetables? Do you have those issues with your clients? And if so, how do you address that problem?
I would say, it's sometimes, clients that come to me like, man, it's hard to get, all the calories in, or it's hard to, get this in or get that in, but I let them know, like, if it's a goal that you want, if it's something that you're looking towards or looking to attain, then you have to take the necessary steps. Okay, you can't expect to come in, do your workout, either on an empty stomach, not have the right amount of nutrition that you need in order to build, in order to get the muscle tone that you really need. So, if the client is struggling to get the proper nutrition or whatever the case may be, me personally, I walk them through, let them know, hey, and they, clients tell me, oh man, that's too much food. I can't eat all that food. I can't eat that much. As you start working out, your metabolism starts going. You become more hungry, or your body will let you know, hey, I need to eat. If you don't give it the right amount of nutrition, the right amount of protein, the right amount of carbs, your body will start eating itself. Our muscles are made up of mainly proteins and amino acids. If you don't get the right amount of proteins in, where do you think your body's going to take it from the get-go? It's going to come from it's going to take it from your muscles. So in order to continue to sustain and build your muscle, you have to get the proper right amount of nutrition in your body. You need to get the right amount of nutrition in your body. I know it may seem like it's a lot, but as you continue to do it, you'll see, oh man, I can. And then after a certain amount of weeks or a certain amount of time, my clients come back like, oh man, Corey, you were right, man. You were right. Thank you, man. So it's just being that help, to my clients that really don't understand or really don't know what to expect. Me just having that knowledge about, the sport that they, or the field that they want to, the certain thing that they want to accomplish with their body, just me having that knowledge, and being able to help them, it's an amazing feeling to me. Just seeing my clients, get the results that they're looking for after, when they come to me. seeing the smile on their face and seeing them happy. Like, oh man, Corey, oh man, I looked in the mirror the other day and I seen my body changing and I seen my muscles is growing. So it's just that excitement when they come back to me and they have that excitement. That makes me excited too, to know that I'm able to help them, achieve what they've been or achieve what they thought was impossible.
That's great advice that you're giving them right there, man. And nutrition definitely is an important part of just trying to attain a great health. And that was a great nuggets that you dropped right there about our muscles being made of protein. And that was awesome that you telling me that and telling everybody else that, man. You heard it from him. He's Corey Brown, is the 2021 winner of the Mr. America bodybuilding competition. Man, brother, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us.
Man, I appreciate you, Ed. Thank you for reaching out to me and, giving me this opportunity to, to let everybody know and tell everybody about, what I do. So that's, I appreciate it, man. I'm very humbled and very appreciative of what you do, man. Appreciate it. They can find me, on Instagram, like I said, at @GetAGripFitness, or my website, www.getagritfitness.com. Even on Facebook, same thing, @GetAGripFitness on Facebook. My phone number, everything is on there. Shoot me a text, shoot me a email, whatever the case may be. I'm always willing to, give insight, and share, the information that I know and the knowledge that I have. So it would never be a no for me when it comes to fitness and nutrition and wanting to succeed in that field to anybody.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, any words of wisdom or any nuggets that you'd like to drop for the audience, just in terms of not just from a nutrition standpoint and people trying to achieve optimal health, but just for the game of life?
Whatever you do, give your best. Whatever it is, give your all, give your best, and in the long run, you will succeed. Stay true to yourself. Stay committed, stay consistent to whatever you set your mind to do. The sky's the limit. You can achieve anything that you set your mind to. Look at me. I never thought I was going to be, Mr. America. And then to be up on the wall, with all the greats, such an amazing feeling, man. So stay true to yourself. Be consistent in your grind, whatever that grind is, and find your passion, whatever your passion is. Stick with it. It's going to pay off. Trust me. It's going to pay off in the long run. So that's my advice, man. Stay true to yourself, guys, and whatever, be consistent in whatever you do.
And again, Corey, thank you so much, my man. And if ever you want to come back on, just feel free to let us know.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Anytime. We'll be back with more right after this.
The Mr. America competition actually means a lot. This is, like I said, one of the biggest competitions that's held. It's one of the oldest competitions that's been going on, and it's just an honor for me to be here.
Our first place winner of pro bodybuilding and the newly crowned Mr. America 2021 P211 CoreyBrown.
Honestly, I did not. Like I said, all the competitors, they looked great. Everyone, bought their best. And just to be standing here today with being Mr. America, it's an amazing feeling, man. It's great. It's wonderful.
I'm Bill Sachs Barbie. We're going to start with, I'm going to explain to you what we're doing today. We've got 8 movements. We're going to start with our warm-up, and then we're going to dive right into our first 2 movements. All right. Here we go. You are prepared at home as well. All right, so we're going to start our warm-up. You can go back. I'm going to position. Start with arm swings. Yeah. Up and down. 1. Good. 2.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the program. That audio was courtesy of DekelQuant and her exercise show that she has on her YouTube channel, and certainly having a lot of fun in her exercise and in the fitness journey. And she's definitely had a journey from then and currently until now, as she's not just a personal trainer and a lifestyle expert, but she's also an entrepreneur. And let's welcome her to the program. As I mentioned earlier, personal trainer, philanthropist, also entrepreneur by way of the Bahamas. Let's welcome her to the program, DekelQuant. Dekel, welcome to the program and Happy New Year.
Hi, Happy New Year. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. You have a very interesting story, how you got into the world of fitness. How did your fitness journey begin?
So my fitness journey began when I was 14, so 15 years ago, and it started kind of on accident. I was always an athlete in high school and stuff, but my mom passed in 2008 from breast cancer, and my brother, who was really into fitness at the time, he was off in college. He kind of invited my dad to tag along to the gym with him. He had came home for, the funeral and everything, so he was in the gym, and he kind of dragged my dad to join him, and my dad kind of dragged me, and honestly, I've been into fitness since then. It became literally a part of my life, a part of me and my dad's life. He's still very much into, fitness and working out as well, and so that just kind of started what is now a career in fitness.
Wow, that's an interesting journey that you've had up until this point, and my condolences on the loss of your mother. And you mentioned you're welcome. And I want to stay just with the Bahamas for a moment. You mentioned that you've always been an athlete, and when I think of the Bahamas, the first sport that comes to my mind is track and field. And during your growing up on the island, did you ever participate in track and field, or did you play other sports growing up?
So you're not alone. Most people think, most Caribbean countries, you think about track. Track is definitely our number one, at least our, most known sport. We have a lot of athletes that excel in track. So, yes, I ran track, but I went to one of those schools where it's very a Caribbean thing, too, where if you're good in one sport, you're going to go and play every other sport, too. So I literally played every single sport. The only sport that I did not do great at was basketball. I tried it a few times, and it just wasn't for me. But I actually gravitated towards volleyball. I was pretty good at track, but volleyball was I would say my favorite, so I actually played college volleyball for 2 years as well after high school. But, yeah, so I did play a little bit of everything, ran a little track, soccer, softball, all that good stuff.
I want to stay just with track and field for a moment. You mentioned about how track and field is the number one sport throughout much of the Caribbean. For those that have never experienced the track and field competition in the Bahamas, how do you describe it to them? Because from watching it, it always has this carnival feel or this carnival atmosphere to it, just watching a lot of not just different schools, but just different competitors go up against one another. Can you describe what a track and field atmosphere is like in the Bahamas?
It is very hard to describe, but the Bahamas, we are very... I don't want to say prideful, but we are, when we have people that were out there, from a spectator standpoint, like you said, it is very much a party. You have DJs in the stadiums, you have people, getting everyone excited. You have performances. It's an event. It's not just, we're going to go watch people run around a track. It is definitely an experience. Even when I was younger, so I didn't compete. Obviously, I didn't run when I was older. It would have been high school, elementary school. But even just being out there on the track at that young age, you just feel this energy. Like you said, it's just a different space. But yeah, I mean, I like to say when you go to a track meet as a spectator, it's like a party. You go with your friends, you plan to have a great time, you scream your head off. I mean, a lot of times you end up cheering for people that, you didn't plan to go there and cheer for, just because the energy is, it's that on fire.
Awesome. And so it's always a festive time in the Bahamas, and especially when you have other countries in the Caribbean like Jamaica, and of course there's Barbados and Trinidad and so on and so forth. So I'll tell you what, never a dull moment in the Bahamas. Dave, with the sport of basketball, you mentioned that you did play basketball in high school and you weren't very good at it, but I know the NBA is starting to see an emergence of players coming from the Bahamas with Buddy Hield and DeAndre Ayton. How is the NBA, we talked about how track and field has been embraced in the Bahamas, but how have Bahamians embraced NBA basketball?
Oh, we've definitely embraced it. It's funny, I actually grew up with, Buddy was maybe a year older than me in school, and he was one of those athletes where, he excelled in basketball, and so he did a little bit of everything else too, definitely an all-around athlete. And so I think for, my generation especially, watching him make it to the NBA was huge because it's we played sports with him. He was in the gym with us. We knew him personally too. So, and really he was the first, to make it on that grand scale. And we kind of watched, he has a great story too, right? He came from very humble beginnings, super small island in the Bahamas. So, we're always proud. Like I said, we're a prideful country. Whether it's a local meet or the highest of platforms that an athlete can be on, we celebrate them. And so if you drive around town, especially from the town where he's from in 8 Mile Rock in Grand Bahama, you'll see photos of him, billboards of him. There's sports lounges named after him. It's a big deal, So the country definitely, they bring him down every so often. They have Junkanoo rush outs at the airport when he lands. It's a big, big celebration. Same thing for Shawnee. Same thing for Stephen Gardner. It's, we celebrate our athletes that make it to the top for sure.
Awesome. And indeed, the Bahamas is definitely enjoying their renaissance right now, not just with track and field, but most importantly, in the world of basketball. All right, well, let's talk more about you now, Dekel. So you talked about your fitness journey and, your brother being away from college, always working out, your dad keeping in shape as well, and, of course, the loss of your mother. But, with fitness, it's a discipline. When was it, what was the moment that you were like, you know what, I can do this. I can begin competing in competitions like this? Did you happen to go to a competition, or was it your brother that encouraged you, or maybe a friend? How did the whole fitness bug, how did the competition bug hit you?
So my brother had competed, I want to say maybe 2 years before I decided to, and I don't remember even watching him compete. No, but I know that he did compete. But I had been in the gym for, I don't know, at that point, maybe 7 years before I decided to actually compete. And what actually made me consider it, people had kept telling me I should for years. I finally graduated college, but my last year of college I did a beauty pageant, which is very outside of my, comfort zone. I don't know. I can't even tell you what made me do it, but I decided, it's my last year. I'm going to go out, I'm going to do something that I wouldn't typically do, but I think it'll be good. One of my roommates nudged me to kind of do it, and I gave in. I did it, and I won it. And my favorite part of it was actually, you do the question, you do the swimsuit, you do the ball gown, all that stuff. My favorite part was the swimsuit. I felt so alive on stage, and I was like, well, if I could do that, I could do a bodybuilding competition because I'm already working out. I'm already in pretty good shape. And what I really liked about training for the show was that it gave me kind of a goal for my training, because up until then, I was an athlete, so I worked out and I kept in shape for sports. But I didn't play my last 2 years of college, so I was really just honestly working out just for, it was a part of my lifestyle at that point. But what competing did was it gave me this end goals or this purpose or more of a purpose for my training. And I actually really liked that. So I started doing my research. And honestly, my first show I did was my first time actually attending a full bodybuilding competition and actually seeing how everything worked, the backstage experience, all of that. And so once I did it that first time, it was just, that desire to keep getting better and to keep going for more.
Awesome. And then definitely that gave you the tools and gave you the fire that you needed to compete, starting off, as you said, being in a beauty pageant in college, and then after that, attending that competition, and that gave you the fuel to your fire to what you currently do. So, as I mentioned earlier, fitness and bodybuilding is a whole discipline within itself, not just with the training, but also with the diet as well. So I wanted to know, how often do you train? Like, how many hours and days a week do you train?
So it varies. Like right now, I'm not actively preparing for a show, so I train about 45 minutes to an hour, 6 days a week. If I'm getting ready for a show, it would be about 2 hours, 6 days a week, maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours, 6 days a week, just because I have to bump up cardio when I'm actually getting ready for shows. So that can tack on an extra 45 minutes to an hour most days. But yeah, but even before I started competing, that was my regular would have been between 5, 6 days a week, between an hour to an hour and a half. So the biggest change, I would say, between like my life pre-competing versus post was, like you said, the nutrition, the diet, just becoming a lot more strict and intentional with that aspect.
I want to stay, again, just with training for a moment. What are your favorite body parts to train, and what are the body parts you don't like training?
Ooh. I think this changes month to month, but right now my favorite is legs. I wouldn't say my least favorite thing to do in the gym is cardio. I know many people that actually enjoy cardio, but yeah, I would say I love legs. Legs and back are probably my favorite. Maybe cardio and shoulders, my least favorite. But yeah, it changes month to month.
Okay, fair enough. And I mentioned, again, we talked about the training, and we have to talk about the diet because those two things go hand in hand. So what does your diet normally consist of? Does it consist of mainly chicken and fish, and you throw a little fruits and vegetables? What does your diet consist of?
Again, it's different depending on if I'm getting ready for a show or not. If I am getting ready for a show, it's definitely high protein. I don't ever cut carbs out completely, but I do manipulate them during prep so they get kind of low, close to my shows. But I stay away from a whole lot of added sugar. I may have a little bit of sugar from fruit, like blueberries, but no actual added sugars in. I do keep salt and sodium, but yeah, just really sugar. I try to avoid any added sugars, so I don't do a whole lot of fruits. My greens of choice are spinach and green beans, but those are just the ones that I feel like I could stomach the best. And off season, I'm definitely not as strict, but my proteins pretty much stay the same. I do chicken breast, I do fish, I do shrimp, every now and then ground turkey as well. And yeah, jasmine rice and red potatoes are my carbs of choice. And I usually do like mixed veg or spinach and green beans, like I said. So I keep it pretty simple. I find like once I like something, I can eat it repeatedly. So yeah, and then in off season, I tend to, indulge a bit more as well. So I'll have my sushi every now and then. I'll have cocktails every now and then versus when I'm in season or getting ready for a show. I kind of cut those things out for that 16 to 20 weeks that I'm getting ready.
Okay, I want to stay just with diet for a moment. What are some of your favorite foods that you enjoy eating, dieting and when you're not?
So when I am dieting, definitely shrimp. I love rice. So shrimp and jasmine rice would be probably my top if I'm like in competition prep or getting ready for a show. When I'm not, I will usually lean towards like sushi and a good burger. Those are my top two.
Okay, awesome. And again, I just want to stay with the diet part for a moment. You mentioned that you enjoy eating fruit, but not too much because natural sugars that comes with it. But I know a lot of competitors, they have their favorite cheat meals. So I have to ask you this. What are some of your favorite cheat meals?
Favorite cheat meals? I think sushi, a good burger. Yeah, those are my two. Honestly, I used to be really bad with, not bad, but I used to be, right after a show, I'd go and I'd eat like everything that I felt like I couldn't eat during my prep. I'm a big snacker too, so sometimes I would even opt for like, a bag of chips or like sour candy, stuff like that, like after a show. But the last couple of years, I haven't been wanting them as much, but sushi has definitely been a staple for me. Sushi and a really good homemade burger. I would say those are my favorite cheat meals.
You mentioned about your cheat meals, sushi and a burger. What I looked up was that something that is a staple of Bahamian cuisine is conch. Can you explain to the listeners what conch is, and do you enjoy eating it?
Sure. So conch is, the best way to describe it is it's a sea snail. So it is seafood. So one year, my second year competing, I would eat conch every cheat meal. So my coach had programmed one cheat meal a week into my regimen. And so I'd usually have it on Fridays, and I think that I ate so much of it that I had to take a break from it. But I would eat a conch burger every Friday for almost like 8 weeks. And so I do enjoy eating it. I haven't ate it in a little while because it is kind of high in cholesterol, but the best way to describe it again, it's like a sea snail, so it has a chewy texture. We cook it in a lot of different ways. The most popular way to eat it is fried. One of the most popular ways to eat it is fried. We also do it in a salad as well, you have to do it with fresh conch, so chop it up with herbs, lime, onion, tomato, and you eat it as almost like a ceviche type dish. And then you also have cracked conch, which is where you can freeze it and then tenderize it, batter it, and deep fry it, like how you would do like a fried chicken. So it has that like light batter on it. That's one of the popular ways to eat it as well. And then I liked it as a conch burger, so you would do that same process of tenderizing, battering, frying it, but then you put it onto like a bun with your lettuce, tomato, tartar sauce, all that good stuff. That's my favorite way to eat it, or it was for a while. But I also like a good cracked conch. Usually serve it with like French fries, or some people serve it with peas and rice. But it is a very heavy. If you're having it fried, it's going to be heavy. Some people do steam it as well, curry it. So there's a lot of ways you can eat it. But I would say conch salad and cracked conch are probably the most popular ways that we eat it here in the Bahamas.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that, not just to me, but to the listeners out there. And while we've mentioned about training and the diet, another element of preparing for these competitions is vitamins and supplements. Do you take any vitamins and supplements?
Yeah, I keep it pretty simple. So my same brother that got me into fitness actually has a supplement retail company here in the Bahamas. So he has three locations here in the Bahamas. So comparable to like a GNC, a vitamin shop, he has that sort of store. So he resells or retails supplements, vitamins, wellness products, that type of stuff. So what I keep in my rotation pretty much is my multivitamin, a woman's multivitamin. I do vitamin C daily as well. And then off and on, I do collagen. I haven't been super consistent with taking it, but I try to be. And I do protein as well. Not so much when I'm getting ready for shows, because I tend to eat my protein goals in prep, because I'm eating a lot more meals. But in off season, I don't eat as much. So I tend to supplement more with the protein shakes in off season, just to make sure that I'm getting enough protein in to maintain my muscle.
Awesome. And, we talked about the training and the diet, and then we recently touched on the vitamins and supplements. I want to ask you now about competition day. Can you describe what a day is like on the day of the competition, just in terms of getting outfits ready, maybe some music for the routine, or just working out? Like, what's a typical competition day like?
Okay. Competition day. So usually I travel for a lot of my shows. So I would travel. I try to get into wherever I'm going at least 2 days before the show. Check-ins are usually the night before. So if the show is on a Saturday, you'll have check-in and registration on the Friday. The final workout is usually 2 days before the show as well, so I may do like a very light workout once I land or get into wherever I am, but typically you're not working out or anything, like nothing heavy, nothing major for the last 2 days. So show day is really just all about getting glammed up, getting ready. My division, I don't have a music routine, so I don't have to necessarily practice any specific type of music or any set music. I do practice my posing and, make sure that I'm hitting everything like I should once I get on stage. But the day of show is really, I get up early, depending on whether I have to do my tan in the room or at the venue, getting makeup done, hair done. Usually the shows start around 8:39, and so depending on the schedule and what time I have to be on stage, that'll determine how early I have to get up and how early I have to leave. But most shows I'm up no later than 7 a.m., 6 a.m., and just starting to get ready, getting the suit out, making sure that I pack my bag to take with me to the venue, and then head out. It's a long wait usually backstage. A lot of people, a lot of running and chaos, people trying to call numbers and line up, and so it can be kind of hectic backstage. So, I usually just find a cozy spot and just hang out until it's time for me to line up. And then before we get on stage, usually there's a team backstage that's helping to, we call it glaze and glue. So they do like a light oil sheen on top of your spray tan. And then they'll glue, if you need it, they'll glue your suit to make sure that everything stays in place where it's supposed to be. So usually, around the hips, the waistband, any area that can kind of roll on your suit, they'll help you glue to make sure you're good before you go out. But the actual, we spend less than, altogether, maybe less than 5 minutes actually on stage. So you do your individual routine, you do your comparisons with everyone in your lineup. And then, it's a very quick process. So not a whole lot of time actually on stage. Most of the day is actually, backstage and preparing to actually go out. But, yeah, it's one of those things. It's hard to explain it until you've seen it. Like, I had a friend that came with me to my last show in Virginia. She actually helped me backstage with, hair and makeup and stuff. So she kind of got to see it firsthand, and she was just, blown away by so many things going on at one time, and everyone just kind of in their own zone, but also trying to pay attention. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, especially when you have a good group of people experiencing that show day, all the show day chaos with you. It definitely is a good time.
It definitely sounds like an interesting time right there, like you said before, especially you mentioned about with all the chaos that's going on backstage. I wanted to ask you, when you had that, you mentioned about the experience that you had being in a beauty pageant. would you compare being in a competition like that to a beauty pageant just in terms of everything, all of the moving parts that happens backstage, or is it not as chaotic in your opinion?
It's similar, but I think, at least my experience with the beauty pageant, it wasn't huge, right? It was only, 12 of us versus a competition. You've got hundreds of athletes backstage because you got men and women. You got, everyone's suitcases, and they've got, they usually put plastic, wrap all over the floors, and not plastic wrap, but, they, secure the floors and the walls with plastic because you have people that are, doused in spray tan, so you can't mess up the walls and the floors and stuff. So you've got hundreds of people trying to find spots. People are pumping up, too. So before you go on stage, you usually have, resistance bands to help, make your muscles pop. So you got people doing push-ups in random spots. You got people trying to fix their hair and do their makeup and practice their walk. So it's definitely more going, at least my experience, versus the pageant with less than 20 people versus, a backstage at a show, you got hundreds of athletes just, moving in and out, and you got people getting tanned, and the stage promoters or, the stage coordinators are running up and down trying to find people. I think for me, my experience, bodybuilding has been more chaotic, more going on, but it has a similar vibe in that you have a quick turnaround backstage to get ready. I would say it's a little bit different, too. In pageants, you have to do all these wardrobe changes, whereas bodybuilding, you're not really changing your wardrobe. You're just, you're in that same suit for the entire show. But, yeah, I would say it has a similar vibe, but I feel like competitions, bodybuilding competitions, you have more people and a bit more going on backstage.
Solid. And you mentioned about the division that you compete in, and there's no music that goes along with the routine. Two-part question. First question is, what division do you compete in? And the second question is, what divisions are in the world of bodybuilding and fitness, and what are the differences?
Okay. Sure. So I compete in figure, and the different divisions are, for women, are bikini, wellness, figure, women's physique, and women's bodybuilding. So bikini and wellness are kind of similar, kind of not. Bikini would be you're very streamlined, a lot smaller, not a whole lot of muscle separation. Even when you think bikini athlete, you would think of a Victoria's Secret model. In a sense, not overly muscular, very feminine, very fit. You can see that they work out, nice cap shoulders, but, nothing is overpowering. For wellness, it's similar to bikini, but just bigger legs, bigger glutes. So it actually developed in South America. So, you think about, your Brazilians, your Latinas, that have that naturally, where their legs and glutes are a bit bigger. So that's kind of the look that wellness has, with the same upper body as bikini, so a nice petite upper body, but almost disproportionately big legs and glutes. And then figure, which is what I compete in, is a very symmetrical division, so almost think about an X shape, so nice broad, wide shoulders, tiny tapered waist, and then the legs come out to match the upper body. So it's not disproportionate at all. Everything should be nice and streamlined, but we're a bit bigger than, more muscular than bikini and wellness, a bit more separation, a bit more defined. And then you have women's physique, which is a few clicks up from figure, so they're a bit bigger, a bit harder, a bit more striations, a bit leaner. And then women's bodybuilding is pretty much what the sport, the bodybuilding, when you think, bodybuilding, a lot bigger, really big, full of muscles, really deep separations, similar to what you would see in, men's bodybuilding as far as, size, and the symmetry is still there, too, but they're just, almost, unworldly massive. So a lot of times when you see women in that division, they've been competing for a really, really long time to put on that amount of size And then you have the men's divisions. You have men's physique, you have classic physique, you have bodybuilding, you also have fitness, So fitness is in both. Well, fitness is actually only in women's, now that I think about it. But women's fitness, they have a routine, so it's almost like gymnastics, and they also compete in comparison rounds like figure. So they wear the same suit as a figure athlete for one round, and then they come out with their music and do like a full-out gymnastics routine in a costume. So that is another women's division. And the men have classic physique, men's physique, and bodybuilding, I think. I think that's it.
Wow, that is definitely a lot of divisions that they have separated. And I want to stay just with what you mentioned about with bodybuilding and bikini and figure and wellness. Do you think having a lot of those divisions, do you think it evens out the playing field, or do you think it's too much in terms of leveling out the competition?
I think it's good. I think when they initially added on, like, wellness is probably the newest division. And, I mean, they've added a couple new ones for men as well. I think classic physique was newer. But I think what it really was a adaptation to the way that the athletes in the sport were evolving. So for me, like, when I started out, I would not have been able to compete in bikini because I was already too muscular. You know, I would have had to lose muscle to be able to fit the bikini criteria. And the reality was, like, that would have been super hard for me to do that. So I think the divisions give people an opportunity to, you know, still train the way they want to train and look the way they want to look without having to, you know, sacrifice training and the aesthetic for fitting into an existing category. I think initially, like any new division, like even with wellness, it took them a while to, like, build up the caliber of athletes that they wanted at the highest level, and to actually, like, pinpoint exactly what they were looking for as far as judging and, you know, how to award the winners in that division. But I think once they got that nailed down, I think it was a pretty level playing field, but I think it also gave athletes the space to fit into the division more naturally versus, you know, having to force themselves into a different look that their genetics or that their training beforehand may not have lended them to. So I think it kind of created a lane for people that were in between divisions even. So, like, if you were bikini but you struggled to bring your legs down, you know, it may have been a more natural fit for you to go into wellness. Or if you were figure and you felt like, well, my legs are always massive in comparison to my upper body, so maybe I am better for wellness. I think all the different divisions just kind of, and what happens a lot of times, too, is someone that may start out as a bikini athlete training for 4 or 5 years may develop, you know, maybe not purposely, but may develop more muscularity than the division allows or than the division judges for. So they may find themselves transitioning into figure. And you see it a lot. You see a lot of people, you know, swap divisions or cross over to the different divisions because they've either outgrown where they were or they realize, like, hey, I'm genetically just, you know, better in this division. So, you know, I'm for it. I think it you know, gives people a better fit for their goals and what they currently, you know, have going on.
Awesome. And I just want to stay with the different divisions for a moment. You mentioned that wellness was developed in South America to kind of complement the body types there. Have you seen not just the Bahamas, but people in the Caribbean embrace bodybuilding and figure more? I know in certain regions there's still the attitude of women kind of, I hate to use this term, kind of staying in their place, remaining in the kitchen and not being allowed to work out. Are those old attitudes slowly drifting away, or are those attitudes still more prevalent, particularly in the Caribbean?
I think that fitness and health wellness is becoming more of a concern, you know, from a Caribbean standpoint for sure. So I think you definitely have people, being more encouraged to, even not from the, if not from the, competing and bodybuilding side, but just like getting, people out and moving more and more concerned about their health and more concerned about their physical activity. So that's definitely on the uptick because, I mean, if you look at the Bahamas, we're like ranked, I think, number 2 in the Caribbean for, cases of obesity and NCDs, and that's, directly linked to our lifestyle, right? So I think you definitely have people that are, I think for the most part, the country and the Caribbean have shifted into recognizing the importance of exercise and the importance of fitness. I think when it comes to competing and bodybuilding, I mean, the sport itself is not for everybody, right? So, I always tell people fitness and competing, or fitness and bodybuilding, are two different worlds. Like being fit or having discipline in fitness and in your fitness regimen as a lifestyle is a completely different monster than, talking about getting into the competitive space, into the bodybuilding space. And it's still largely a space that, unless you're in it, you don't really know all that it entails, and it's really hard to explain if you're not in it. But so I think from that standpoint, when you see, you do see a lot more Caribbean athletes popping up and participating in bodybuilding competitions. And I think for the most part, at least here in the Bahamas, people are very supportive of it. All the shows that I've been to locally have a really good turnout of, supporters and fans of the sport. And so my experience with, at least from the community aspect, has always been really positive. The newspapers, the news, the TV stations and all that, they cover all the shows, and, it's always in a positive light. When athletes go off to represent the country, it's always, a big deal as well. So I think for the most part, the country itself has definitely embraced both fitness and bodybuilding. I think you do still have individuals, that are a bit more old school, saying they don't want women to be, muscular and, all of that. But I don't think that's going to necessarily go away. But I think the general idea and the general feeling of the country, the Caribbean, around fitness and around bodybuilding is pretty positive.
You mentioned about the Bahamas being number 2 in the Caribbean in obesity, and that's going to transition into the next thing I wanted to ask you about, food deserts. Mm-hmm. I know in North America, food deserts have become very prevalent, and you mentioned about just what the Caribbean has gone through in terms, as you mentioned, with the Bahamas having their issues with obesity. I want to ask you about food deserts. Are food deserts common in the Bahamas or not so much as opposed to North America?
Yeah, we definitely struggle. That's a big concern for the country. We import 90% of our food. So, so it's a challenge, getting fresh food. We always complain about the produce, and I usually don't see it. You see that it's not the best, but I can really tell whenever I go to another country, and I look at their produce, I'm like, wow, this just looks so much better, right? And, it's definitely overpriced. We're paying a lot more for food that isn't great quality. And so, just this year, we have a new administration in power as far as government, and I know that, food and agriculture is one of their big tasks because, we see that we're struggling with food security. We got to figure something out as a country because, access to good quality and affordable food is, very rare.
This is very eye-opening to me that you said that, because when I think of the Bahamas, and of course you mentioned that it's a very small island in the Caribbean, so when I think of the Caribbean, I think of fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. What do you think the reason is that there's a lack of access, like you said, to good quality food or fresh food on the island? Is it because, you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, but is it because of politics getting rid of, I guess, maybe farms or crops in order to, build things? Or what do you think the reason is for that?
So keep it in mind. So the Bahamas is actually, it's an archipelago of islands. So it's not just one island. It's, I think, about 23 inhabited, but there's, a bunch of little keys. Some are privately owned, some are government owned. So it's a collection of about 700 islands and keys in total. And a lot of the different islands, so I live in Nassau, New Providence, which is the capital. So the country of the Bahamas, with all the different islands, has a population of about 300,000 people. Maybe a little more than that now, but just to give you context, so almost 200,000 of that number live in Nassau, New Providence, where I live, and the rest of that are sprinkled throughout the other, 20-something islands that are inhabited. And so you have some of those smaller islands, like Eleuthera, very small population, but they're known for growing pineapples. So there are some industries, like Eleuthera has pineapples, Inagua has a salt industry. So we have some stuff that we do produce, but I think one of the challenges is that once we can't supply the demand from our local, local farmers, like they can't supply the population demands solely, so we do need to import to supplement some of the stuff that they are producing. I think what you said, I don't think the land is an issue, honestly, because like I said, we have lots of land, we have all these keys and islands. I think it's the people as well. Like, I think you have a lot of people that are actually interested in getting into the agricultural space. I think politics always has something to do with it too. But like I said, we have a new administration in now, and so I think even that in itself, like the changing of administrations every couple of years, I think slows things down too, because everyone's pushing their own agendas and their own ideas. They're not really picking up from the progress that the previous may have made in the past. So, I think it's a collection of things, but I don't think it's a shortage of land. I think the root of it is really a shortage of people that are interested in agriculture itself. And I think we have a school, so I think it's on Andros, called BAMSI, that is an agricultural and marine science institute. And I don't think that, I know that they do some stuff as far as producing crops and selling them in the markets in other islands as well, but the rate at which they produce, I know, is not enough to supply the population, which is why we have to bring in so much as well.
Well, Sally, thank you so much for answering that question. And you mentioned about doing their part to try to make sure fresh quality food is grown in the Bahamas. You're doing your part in the world of social media. How important, in your opinion, is social media presence to what you do in terms of getting the word out about fitness?
Social media right now, so no matter what industry or space that you're in, we see everyone from government offices to fitness instructors. Everyone's on social media because that's kind of where everyone is plugged into. If you have a message you want to get out, I think social media is, important. But I think fitness, especially because it's such a, I don't want to say widely, I guess that's the best way to say it. It's such a universal thing, right? No matter where you are, some sort of fitness content is going to speak to you. And so when I started out, the nickname Bowflex Barbie was actually just a social media handle that later on developed into a business name. So social media has always been, I've always personally enjoyed being on social media. So once I got into the fitness space, the fitness business, it just came really natural to continue to share. And then, just developing strategies around, what am I sharing and why am I sharing it? What's the purpose of sharing what I am sharing? Who is it helping? Who is it for? What is the messaging? I think that's the biggest thing for me. How can I add value to people that are consuming what I am sharing? For me, it's definitely given me the reach that I don't think I would have had if I wasn't using social media. I don't think I would have been able to work with as many people for sure as I have been able to.
Awesome. And, you mentioned about how so many companies and so many industries have taken advantage of social media. You've taken advantage of social media with your brand, Bowflex Barbie. Just tell everybody about Bowflex Barbie and what's available on the website as well as the YouTube channel.
Sure. So, Bowflex Barbie, I do through Bowflex Barbie Fitness. I do both in-person here in Nassau as well as online training. I have online challenges, online programs, both on demand and through my app. And like you mentioned, I also have the YouTube channel, which is Bowflex Barbie Fit TV, and that's pretty much just a resource of train-along workouts that can be done at home with minimal equipment. That's pretty much what I do. I do corporate programming here in Nassau as well. I do virtual sessions, pretty much all things fitness, online, in person, and through the app and through YouTube.
Awesome. Tell everybody where they can find you, Dekel, on social media and any websites. Let them know that as well.
Sure. So my social media my personal is at Bowflex Barbie. My team page is at team.BowflexBarbieFitness. Website is bowflexbarbie.com, and the YouTube channel is Bowflex Barbie Fit TV.
Awesome. 2 more questions before I let you go. Very lighthearted questions. First question is, we know Nassau is known to be a great city with lots of things to do. In your opinion, what makes Nassau Freeport different from other cities in the Caribbean?
Okay. So in all fairness, I've not been to a whole lot of I've not physically been to a whole lot of other Caribbean countries, but what I can say about Freeport, about the Bahamas in general, because like I said, it's a number of islands that I've had the opportunity to visit within the country. I've island hopped quite a bit, so what I love about the Bahamas and what I think sets it apart from a lot of other countries in the Caribbean is that you have that uniqueness of each island. Like if you want the party life, you want you want a selection of restaurants and casinos and, lots of things to do, then Nassau is definitely the place. Versus if you want to just walk out from your back door of your Airbnb and set foot on a sandy beach and there's nobody for miles and miles, then an Exuma or an Eleuthera may be a better fit for you. Freeport, to me, where I grew up, is a good mix of the two. So Freeport doesn't have a huge population, but it is very well laid out. It was meant to be the industrial hub for the country, so it's very well planned out, very well laid out, but it's quiet enough to where you can still escape and relax, but there's a bit more to do than an Eleuthera or an Exuma. You have some islands that only have literally one road, that have no stop signs, so you have that real island experience on some islands, no fast food, no franchises, versus a Nassau that has 13 Wendy's, all these huge casinos. So I think what's great about the Bahamas, you can fly into Nassau, hop on a boat for a couple hours and be at another island that is a complete, different vibe, complete different experience. And so I like to say the Bahamas has an island for everybody. There's some people that love that, that luxury space, that love, the partying, a lot of things to do, want to keep going. Nassau is definitely for them, but the person that wants to literally just unplug and reset and sit on the beach and, unwind and, really escape that hustle and bustle, there's also an island or islands that allow them to do that. There's stuff that are, for nature lovers that want to swim with sharks or go bird watching or it's so many stuff, different things that the country has to offer through the different islands. And I think that's what makes it a bit more unique than your other islands in the Caribbean.
Awesome. And New Orleans has Mardi Gras. Rio de Janeiro has Carnival. Barbados has Crop Over. A lot of countries and a lot of cities have their take on Mardi Gras or Carnival. The Bahamas has Junkanoo. Can you explain to the listeners what Junkanoo is and when does it take place?
Sure. So, Junkanoo it's hard to describe, but it is the best way to compare, or the best thing to compare it to would be probably like your carnival in Brazil. But it's different in that as far as the costumes and like you're in the street, it's a big parade. You have different groups that come out, but everything is played. So all instruments versus your carnival and stuff where you have, the trucks playing music and the groups coming out in their costumes. Junkanoo is completely, you actually have a full band out there or Junkanoo group out there playing. So you got the goatskin drums, you got the brass, you got the cowbells, you got the costumes that they've been working on for the whole year, because Junkanoo happens in Nassau. At least they do New Year's Day and Boxing Day, so the day after Christmas and New Year's Day. There's 2 parades. You have your groups, so there's committees for these groups. They practice. They have choreographed dancers that practice year-round. They make costumes from cardboard and crepe paper. They use some huge costumes that you have guys pushing and headpieces, and they do laps downtown. So the parade usually starts at like midnight and it runs all the way into 6, 7 a.m. the following morning. And people line the streets. They put out bleachers. They put out, seating for people to come out and actually watch the parade as it's happening. The TV stations also broadcast it live. So, it's one of those things, again, it's hard to explain it. You just kind of got to experience it because it's one of those things, when you're in that street and those groups come through, that sound of the drums, right there just gets into your soul. You can't keep still. But it's definitely, it's a sight to see. The music is one thing, and then it's a show. You got people out there dancing and putting on a show, and the costumes are beautiful. The concepts, each group usually has a theme, so the themes are different every year. The music is different. It's just, it's our cultural, our thing,
Wow, sounds like a very festive time. And you heard it from her. She's DekelQuant. She is a entrepreneur, also a competitor, philanthropist. Also, she's a social media personality, also doing her part to make her island a better place and make the world a better place. One more time, tell everybody where they can find you on social media and websites. Let them know that as well.
Sure. So my Instagram is @BowFlexBarbie. My website is bowflexbarbie.com, and I'm on YouTube @BowFlexBarbieFitTV.
Dekel, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much again for taking your time out of your busy schedule. And if ever you want to come back on, just feel free to let us know.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We'll be back with more right after this.
I'm Bowflex Barbie. We're going to start with, I'm going to explain to you what we're doing today. We've got 8 movements. We're going to start with our warm-up, and then we're going to dive right into our first 2 movements. All right. Here we go. You are prepared at home as well. All right, so we're going to start our warm-up. You can go back. I'm going to position. Start with arm swings. Yeah. Up and down. 1. Good. 2.
That's going to do it for this best of edition of The Robinson Show. Till next time, everybody, remember, put God first in everything you do and you can't go wrong. Until next time, stick to the script. I'm out. Peace.